our next topic is certifications and training, and we just included this because from a work standpoint, Magento and Adobe now have merged their departments. So Magento U is now part of Adobe, which actually has a very robust training organization. Not that Magento U wasn't robust, but now Magento U is part of a larger training organization. So I think as trainers, we are going to see more out there for training, and I'm not sure if we're going to see some cross training between different parts of Adobe, but we will be seeing more online training and more emphasis on trying to get people to get on to training in terms of developers and merchants and things like that. So wanted to get feedback on training. Deryck, if you wanted to kick us off on what you've seen, and then maybe Vinai can kind of tell us his thoughts on.
I mean, we would have all experienced the onboarding sessions of the new systems and all the processes, and of course, when we come to do our first training session, we're having to remind ourselves of all of those processes again, because I think I've had to attend three different sessions anyway. But that's all good. That's just the part of the transfer. So yeah, we started. I mean, certainly as Magento, we've seen things picking up again. I think the global situation slowed everything down. Everything went virtual. I think people were hesitant to go virtual. That I think initially a lot of the virtual training was for organizations who had booked some physical training and then transferred that over to virtual, and then it went quiet for a period. But now, things seem to be picking back up again. I guess people are getting used to the new normal and realizing that that you do have to just get on with it. So there's a lot of training sessions which are kind of like, this with a scenario like that. But so so there's a few study groups coming up. The usual courses are coming up, but then we're always available to offer private training as well. So there's that option as well. But I think there's a couple more new courses that are getting bedded in at the moment. From a merchant standpoint, advanced catalog and the advanced selling, which I think both of those are still under a year old as courses go. So yeah, it's all, I think, check. So if you go to the Magento U website, it will send you to a link to the new place for that training is held under the Adobe site. So all the existing courses are still there, and the certifications are still there. While that gets bedded in, we'll wait and see what happens and whether they're going to start cross-selling and offering complementary courses as well. So yeah, but that's kind of the state of play at the moment. I think things are going back to normal. I always imagine. Sorry, someone's some feedback there. So for personally, from my experience of training, is now we're going into that quiet period, and then things kick off in September. So so if you're looking for training, you'll probably see that most of the courses are actually going to start again in September, and they tend to be the most popular ones in a year. Certainly from my experience, was the September onwards, September, October courses are the most popular. So if you see anything on those sites that you like, it's probably a good idea to get them booked, because they suddenly do disappear. But that's not sales pitch. That's just my experience of what kind of happens with courses at this time of year. Yeah. Anyone got anything to add to that? That's the state of training at the moment. Everything's changed. Nothing's changed.
Vinai, what's your feedback on that?
Yeah, well, I'm totally with you. Everything's virtual now. I've got a couple of Magento U now Adobe training things booked for the next till the end of the year, as a trainer basically. So everything's virtual, which is good actually. I wouldn't want to start traveling again already. Feels much better being safe at home. It's it's definitely the smart thing to do right now, I believe. Yeah, regarding certification, I don't know. We'll have to see what's going to happen, right? Sadly, the person who built the whole Magento 2 certification program, Peter Manijak, whom I greatly admire, he's such an amazing person, super smart, super fun to work with. And well, without him, I believe we wouldn't have had any Magento 2 certifications. He made it happen. He made so much, he just made things reality. So many trainings, so many certifications, so many, the whole program, the whole curriculum of Magento U in a way. And unfortunately, he no longer is part of Adobe training or certification or whatever, which is sad news. So I think that's a great loss. Yeah, lot of wasted potential there. We'll have to see what happens. All in all, I think the Magento 2 certifications were, they had a pretty high standard compared to some other certifications that I've looked at in the industry. I know Adobe has a different certification approach to certification. We'll see what's going to happen. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know if things will continue to be valid or not, the certifications, or if all of them will be rebuilt or not, or I just don't know what's going to happen. Or who is going to rebuild them? No idea.
Yeah,
we do have a question.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we do have a question for Vinai and for Deryck, just about training. Or Brent, do you want to talk before the question?
So I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Vinai was saying. I think that what Peter did in terms of how we wrote our tests and how we wrote the different processes around training, the classes and things like that. It is really, it brought us into the next level. And I felt like the collaborative effort that was put forth by everybody that went to those little small groups to help write the different tests and to write the specific training classes. I don't know how we're going to duplicate that. And I also would, I feel with Vinai that there is going to be a loss, and I'm sad to see that that this has been kind of the path that they've gone to in terms of training, and I haven't seen a plan on how they're going to implement new training. Traditionally, we would have had a workshop in the middle of July to kind of keep things updated. And I guess we haven't had that, but we're also in the middle of a global pandemic, so.
Where is that,
anyways,
right?
Yeah.
So the question is, what are you guys excited for Magento in terms of developer and merchants?
From a training standpoint, is that?
In terms of Magento 2.4 or training? Okay, well, can I start?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from a trainer perspective, all this additional complexity that keeps getting added to Magento definitely is like an endless pool of work, right? People need more and more training just to be able to build what they need to build. In a way, right? So it's always challenging to keep up to date and learn all the new stuff that's relevant and try to condense it, what's essential, what's useful, what's not useful, what's complete, what's not complete, what's stable enough to build upon. So get all that valuable information and kind of attempting to transfer that to other developers. I only do developer training, so I can't really talk about anything else. That's something I enjoy. Right? that's a good thing for me. I don't know what else to answer there. Sorry. I don't know what you were thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, I mean, so from a merchant, if you like a merchant point of view, or every, well, we say merchant, but we mean kind of anyone who uses who's not a developer. Let's just say anyone who uses the system. You know, it is an evolving piece of software. What I quite like with Magento is and what excites me, so this is not specifically about what excites me about the future, but what excites me about training is particularly when we do private training is understanding how different organizations use the software. And you know, it's almost like you could go into 100 different organizations and they've all got a different way that they've worked out how to use it. And actually sometimes that's not good, and you can help them come up with, you know, help them with better ways to do that. But actually sometimes you really learn from that and go, oh god, that's genius, you know, I never would have thought of using it that way. And so, you know, so it's great. So from a trainer's point of view, okay, so sometimes I'm going in and I'm learning as almost as much as I'm giving, well, sort of. But that is the kind of the exciting part of, I mean, and that's the same for any merchant, I think, is that if you've got a Magento install and you're using it, you probably could be using it better. And you know, and that's not to say that you're not doing a good job of what you're doing. It's just that there is cases out there where, you know, that you could be doing something better, and it's great to as a trainer, and like I say, particularly private training where you don't have to be so confined to the syllabus, is finding those opportunities where you can basically during the training go, did you know you can do this? And actually that saves them a whole load of time, or it's made something so much more efficient for them. So it's, and obviously as the software is evolving, new features are coming out, and getting people to realize the potential of those is very satisfying from someone delivering that point of view.
Yeah, so I can give my 2 cents, and I'm not sure why they singled out Vinai and Deryck. I feel like I have a space in this conversation. Geez, no, I'm joking. I do feel like that there are lots of opportunities, especially around how much Magento can do for a merchant to engage both with somebody that is involved more in the back end on their team, and say you're a large enough organization to have a developer, and maybe they're just do front end or whatever they do, engaging Magento U or somebody like Vinai who can help them to understand some of the things that Magento can do. Because I think one thing Deryck said was that there's people that do things and they do it sometimes, they do it, I don't want to say wrong, and they just do it their way, but their way is like going around the block 7 times and then ending up at the end point, when you could just go cut straight through a street and you're there. It's not always known until you ask somebody who is more of an expert in that on how to do that. And any developer or anybody that is doing any sort of code work or deployment or something like that can learn a lot from the proper practices around Magento. And you know, maybe that 5-day course is too much for a beginning developer, but there certainly is a place for somebody at an organization to learn about how the back end of Magento works, and if they are interested, or if they do have a developer on the staff. I would say that's one of the requirements that they should have for that person, is to take that course and at least get certified in the associate level of Magento, which would tell their boss that they know something about it, or at least have studied enough to answer the questions. And then following on that, maybe even more important is how they're using Magento, and what are the things in there that they could be using, and engaging with Magento U to help their staff know and use Magento better, and help them maybe to learn some of the best practices around that, and that would help them to be more efficient in what they're doing. And then One final little thought is that engaging somebody, say like Vinai, in your backend code would always give another view of how things are being done, whether they're being done right or wrong. You as a merchant would have some, you as a merchant could have some idea that this is the proper way to move forward, and just having another view on it that's independent of whoever is doing the majority of the work. So sort of a code review or something like that is always a good idea, to have somebody that's impartial in there without an agenda. And the same in terms of how the front end is looking. I know that Deryck and I have been with clients that are very large and have very slow stores, and we just ask, why is it this way? And maybe somebody hasn't asked a question in a way that is merchant friendly or something.